Okay, guys, J-Man here. I guess I should talk about the NYPD, being hit by, snowballs. This is, Cash Jordan. I learned a leaflet, uploaded about this last night. I listened to the story from Black Conservative perspective. I haven't seen everything on it, but I do get the general idea. Basically, NYPD officers got belted with snowballs, possible rocks, and possible ice balls. Now, with all the anti-cop sentiment, of course, I'm going to state that you do know there's a possibility that the snowballs were probably filled with rocks and ice. Okay? There's a genuine possibility that these snowballs were loaded. They were dangerous. And I was actually thinking about doing something a little more nerdy, talk about video games or something. But I think this fits my realm of expertise, or at least not expertise, more like my content as a whole. I'll talk about anime or video games at some other point. But for now, let's just talk about this whole war on NYPD by Cash Jordan. And by the way, this is the first time I'm watching his videos solo, so that's good. And if you like my content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This that helps me push me in the algorithm and helps me be seen by other people, and it will let me make even better quality videos. Because right now it's just me. Anyways, let's get into the video.
New mayor is already going after the NYPD.
And there is
Wait till you see this.
no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
Oh man, oh. And the cop wasn't. And the cop, from what I understand, he was not there. And he did not escalate things. He was trying to de escalate things, and the guy was just coming at him with a knife. Like, what are you supposed to do? It's easy to say he should have shot the guy, but what is he supposed to do? Allow himself to get harmed in some way? Possibly get killed? Like, again, if he shot the guy in the leg, people would be saying, oh, he should have shot him in the leg, but then you're going to turn around and say, what the action? I mean, it's just a no-win situation that these anti-cops people keep putting themselves in. Like, what are you supposed to do? Alright? Exactly what are you supposed to do? Because I've never seen any explanation for what the alternative is, except for bring in social workers, and when social workers are brought in, it tends to end even worse.
Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
This is terrible, man.
Chilling new video of the moment the NYPD says a young man charged at officers with a knife. Police opened fire. The
We can see the
22-year-old
knife.
survived, but remains in the...
Hold on, let me rewind it a bit. Because I think I did see the knife. Let's see here. It went by a little fast.
Put the knife down!
This
Let's see.
Put the knife down!
I'm just trying to find where the knife is brandished. Yeah, I saw the knife. I saw the knife right at the end there.
Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
this is terrible, man.
Chilling new video of the moment the NYPD says a young man...
Yeah, there's a knife right there. Right there is the knife. Dude, body cam footage was a godsend. Okay, body cam footage was a godsend. But still, dude, that is crazy. Came at him with a knife, dude.
Charged at officers with a knife. Police opened fire. The
We can see the
22-year-old
knife.
survived, but
Yeah, I
remains in
saw
a
it.
hospital.
The case reigniting the debate
Thank
over
God
the
he
response
survived.
to someone having
Yep.
a mental episode.
Body-worn camera depicts NYPD officers being let into the home after the young man's parents called 911 about their son being in emotional distress. What begins as a standard response takes a turbulent turn as soon as the young man sees the police.
Papa, no! Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Seriously, dude. Seriously. Oh my gosh, this is oh man, this is insane. Okay, this is just wild. Like, dude, I'm glad the cop is alright. It's a shame this guy died, but come on. I can't have empathy for this person because this person was clearly out of their mind and was trying to attack the cop. And what was going to happen was one of the bleeding heart judges was probably going to let the guy out scot-free. Give him a slap on the wrist saying he isn't responsible for his actions. No. This is empathy for the cruel. Okay, this is empathy for the cruel, and it is cruelty to the innocent. No way Zoran tried to downplay this. No. This guy shouldn't have come at the officer with a knife.
This is terrible. He was in the
A family
kitchen.
member tries to stop Jabez Chakraborty from advancing toward the retreating officer with a kitchen knife.
Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
We briefly pause the video here to avoid showing.
The armed male was able to push through the closed door and continue to advance toward officers with the kitchen knife
That's
in hand.
exactly what happened.
At this point, officers discharged their weapon at the armed male.
Drop the knife!
This is the kitchen knife
Yeah.
police say the 22-year-old was armed with on the morning of January 26th. But as Mayor Mamdani
Wait a second. Before we get to what the mayor has to say,
Zoran Mamdani, I think, I honestly don't know if he's retarded or if he's actually some sort of psyop. Because I can't believe either or. I can believe he's a retard who doesn't understand what's going on within his own community. But I can also believe that he is some sort of psyop trying to advance Islam in the United States by bringing in more Islamic extremists. I can believe either or. It doesn't really it wouldn't surprise me either way. I don't think he has if he has the best interests of the people in mind, then well, he's doing it poorly. Poor leader, he's a retard. That is the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is he's actually doing this on purpose, trying to bring in more Muslims. So either way, it's pretty scary, dude. It's pretty scary, and I'm glad I don't live in New York City at all. I live New York adjacent, in a state adjacent to New York, but that's about it.
this guy's 22. And take a look at your screen right here. This is what he looks like in the police video. But this is the photo that the family who's upset with the police, who let the police in to possibly save them, is showing everyone. There's a smear campaign going on here.
out today.
Obviously. Now, here's the thing. I didn't understand what they were saying either. I think they were speaking Spanish. So, they might actually be illegal. There is a chance they were illegal immigrants, and in which case, they shouldn't be here. Okay? If they're illegal immigrants, they shouldn't be here. But there is some sort of smear campaign going on, and I do not like smear campaigns at all.
Today, the encounter is more complex than what's on video.
Jabez has lived with schizophrenia for many years, and this situation underscores just how urgently we need a different and more effective mental health response.
Schizophrenia? Really? that doesn't explain. That doesn't necessarily excuse the fact that he tried to attack an officer. Okay? And yeah, I've been responding to Zoran Mamdani, who's probably never going to listen to me because I'm a Christian and because I'm MAGA. So he's probably never going to really listen. But I am going to say, dude, you need to step down. A lot of people have died under your watch just because of the cold and because you weren't preparing them to go inside during the winter season. So you are pretty much over the honeymoon really quickly, dude. The honeymoon phase is nearly over. You've already alienated so much of your constituents. I can't even say that word. So mind-bogglingly fast. Sorry, I can't say bogglingly. I can't say that word either. I can't say. You just really and insanely alienated people so fast that I'm surprised. I'm actually shocked that you were able to do it so fast. It just shows that charisma alone does not make a good politician.
System that will be safer for New Yorkers who struggle with mental health concerns, for their families, and for police officers. Jabez needs mental health treatment, not criminal prosecution.
This is now Exhibit A in the mayor's push to create a Department of Community.
I'm just thinking of the serial killers back in the 60s. How many of them actually got... So many of them actually got caught and put in jail. And so many of them actually... Some of them actually did somewhat reform. I know that Jeffrey Dahmer, he actually did turn to Jesus Christ and started singing a pastor while he was on death row. And he even stated in interviews that he deserved to be there. Reformation can happen in prison, and that is that is what's necessary. And imagine if we just had social workers trying to help Charles Manson. Dude, if you saw the interviews with Charles Manson, you would say this dude deserves to be locked up, and you need to throw away the key. Because he was insanely mentally ill. I mean, he thought the Beatles were the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and he was also a struggling singer before he found his family. And I'm using family in quotes, by the way. But either way, this is... either way, Zoran Mamdani, I don't know which he is. I don't know whether he's a retard or if he's actually just insanely... or if he's just insanely naive. Well, that is basically retard. He's insanely naive, or if he's sort of Trojan horse to bring in more Islam. It could be either or. But I know he got the Muslim community pretty angry during his swearing in because he used his left hand on the Quran. And that is considered to see haram in Islam because they used to wipe their butts with their left hands.
Community safety, shifting many crisis calls away from the police.
So now we're going to replace the police. We've got somebody who's got problems, who needs help. The system has failed that person. I think we can all agree on that. But when someone is armed and they are at the scene where 911 was called to arrive at and they do not obey basic instructions, it's hard to see what anyone other than a police officer who is able to protect people would be able to accomplish this.
Yeah, what are we supposed to do here? Help, help, we need a social worker. Social worker's gonna die within a few minutes. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. If the social worker was there, and the guy came at the social worker with the knife. That social worker is dead. And then you have a homicide. I should say a murder, actually. You have a murder there. Because technically, by definition, the officer did commit homicide, but it wasn't murder. So, and so I don't conflate murder with homicide. I just say, and I'm gonna just say this because I need to differentiate it for the retards out there. Homicide doesn't automatically mean murder.
This was a very dangerous, frightening situation.
The NYPD says the body-worn video supports the department's version of events, as first told at a news conference.
The officers issued several
Yes,
warnings
they did.
to drop the knife in an attempt to de-escalate the
Yup.
situation.
The family criticizing the mayor for his initial praise of the NYPD response, saying in part, "We called 911 for an ambulance to provide medical attention for our son who was in emotional distress. We did not call the
Stop
police."
the tape right there. They're saying they didn't call the police. But let's watch the body cam.
What? What? So wait, a police officer just randomly rolled up to the house like... That never happens. That never happens. Unless there's a warrant, that never happens. Unless there's suspicion, that never happens. It's most likely they were called. The family's lying now. Why? I have no idea. But if the family's lying, then guess what? They are hiding something. Okay? It's more to do with the fact they may actually be illegal. I'm not saying they are. I'm thinking they are. Because they weren't speaking a lick of English. In their own home. And yeah, I do think that that's a little suspicious. Because you would think you would want to speak as much English as possible to get fluent in the language. Because that is the national language for the U.S. Even if we don't have a quote-unquote official language, that is the language majority of people speak in the U.S.
Cam for ourselves, see what's really going on. Listen, they're at the home.
Yep.
Knock on the door.
Yep.
Ever since I've been watching videos, I don't stand by the door no more, bro. How you doing?
You called?
You called?
Yes.
Hi, you called? Yes. So she tells the police.
Yeah, they're hiding something. They're hiding something. The family's hiding something. And I take that back. They probably are illegal here, but still, there's something going on here, and I don't know what. So yeah, I take back what I said. They aren't. They probably aren't illegal, but there is still a chance they are. I'm not going to get to reserve judgment for that, but I am going to basically say this is a pretty insane dude.
Police officers that they are at the right place. She opens the door and invites them in. And now watch what happens.
You coming?
Yes.
Oh
Sorry,
my gosh.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
They confirmed again that they're in the right place.
Yeah, yeah, multiple times the woman says, yeah, we called. Like, why is the family saying they never called? Again, I sort of think they're hiding something. And I do think there is and I think there's a chance that it's not even related to mental health. He could have mental health issues, but there could be something else. What that something else is, well, my suspicions are that that the guy was probably on drugs. He may have actually been using some illegal substances. Specifically, I wouldn't be too surprised if he was on fentanyl. Fentanyl, meth, cocaine, it could have been any one of those drugs that was causing him to hallucinate, and he could very well have schizophrenia. But again, all of this is also pure speculation. I don't know for sure. So I'm gonna withhold judgment. All I know is that Zohran Mamdani is basically running defense for criminals.
And then things immediately go sideways. But the police knocked on the door. They announced their presence. They asked the woman if she called them. She says yes. And they asked a second time if they could come in. So they were in the right location. And then they encounter what you see on the screen here.
Tuesday, Mayor Mamdani responded to the criticism.
Yeah, this is... And by the way, this is why the left wants to get rid of the body cams they wanted so much. I mean, come on, dude. They wanted body cam footage so much, but then when they figure out that the police are actually racist, that's hilarious. They want it gone. They want it gone. Oh my gosh, it's you can't make this up. This is why reality is probably the best sort of entertainment we have right now. At least the best Western entertainment. I mean, anime is still good. It's still based. Same with the manga and video games. Those are based too. So, and again, video games depends on what you play, but still based. But the only reality sort of entertainment is when you see the left trip over themselves trying to form a narrative and the narrative breaks.
And said he's speeding up his plan to create a Department of Community Safety to have mental health professionals co-respond to 911 calls.
Co-respond.
What these policy options include are various co-response models involving teams of behavioral health specialists, peer experts, and of course police so that they can intervene when the need arises.
So what that means is in a city like New York that has limited money, remember this has to happen with the money the city already.
Yeah, Zohran Mamdani already went through the surplus that Derek Adams brought in. He doesn't know how to budget. But then again, what do I expect from a Nepo baby? Oh, man. He comes from a rich family, so yeah, he doesn't know how to budget. He's too rich and spoiled to know how to budget.
Already has a city which is facing a $12 billion budget deficit. That means instead of 2 cops at the door and 2 cruisers, you may have a cop and a guy with a clipboard.
Anthony Almagero, the VP of the FDNY EMS Officers Union, says the city already has the Be Heard program, which has mental health counselors go out with EMTs. He says the mayor did not consult his union.
I think it would be best if he kept it as is and decided to expand it and actually invest in FDNY EMS doing these calls. We can sedate patients that have psychiatric emergencies that escalate to a point where they need sedation.
Yeah, let's. You see, that's actually a decent idea. Get it in some trank darts. Just bring in some trank darts to take them down. Like instead of live rounds, I wouldn't mind that. But again, only so much you can do. You never know when the trank effects are going to wear off. And if they wear off while you're in the car, it can actually cause the guy to just swerve at instead of one body, you have multiple. So it's a little bit of a iffy situation, but at the same point in time, I do think the officers are in the right in this.
So, look at that. I bet most of you didn't know, and I certainly didn't know, New York City already has the same type of system in place here, but where was that?
So Mamdani is a loser. Oh my gosh. He's so oh man. He doesn't know what the policies are already in place thanks to Eric Adams. Oh. It sucks to suck, buddy. It sucks to suck.
System. Why did that system also fail this person? But you've got to understand something. Everything going on in this video relates back to what the new mayor said on day one when he was inaugurated, when he announced his mission and his mandate.
We will draw this city closer together.
Okay.
We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our campaign demonstrated that the people of New York yearn for solidarity, then let this government foster it. Because no matter what you eat, how you pray, or where you come from, the words that most define us are the two we all share: New Yorkers.
Okay. The warmth of collectivism. How's that working out?
There are calls now for the mayor to do more to get the homeless off the streets. And
I mentioned this before. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The warmth of collectivism. Yeah, get that commie gobbledygook out of here. Communism and socialism don't work unless there's capitalists funding it. Let's be real. Let's be real. And no, I'm not, the irony isn't lost on me that I'm on Social Security and I'm benefiting from capitalists as well. It's why I love capitalism and why I want capitalism to thrive. Okay? Because I am autistic and it's only thanks to the strength of capitalism that I am able to survive. Because if it wasn't for good capitalists that do the work, I wouldn't be able to even survive to this point in my life. Which is why I thank them. So yeah, the irony isn't lost on me.
find better housing for them. At the same time, the mayor is refusing to return to former Mayor Adams' policy of removing homeless encampments from city streets.
And people are freezing in the cold.
A good job from last week, now slightly loaded with other issues.
Look at this.
Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett is live at Penn Station with our lead story
Penn
tonight.
Station's a
NJ.
disaster in the wintertime.
And rightly should Mayor Mamdani take a harder line on encampments, a harder line on involuntary removal of the homeless. Yes, there are those tonight who say he should, but the mayor seems convinced that his approach is best. The outreach team is patient but persistent. It takes time, but MTA police officers and social workers calmly persuade a woman to leave Penn Station for a bed in a homeless shelter. But it doesn't always work this way.
No, it doesn't.
Many others choose.
Long clip, but geez. Yeah, how's the warmth of collectivism working out, Zoran? So far, I'm seeing a lot of death. This is equity, by the way. This is equity. So the E and DEI is equity, right? End result? There's only one end result we're promised. That's death. That is death. That is the one result we are all promised. One end we are all promised. It is in... Equity is not equality. We have the equal opportunity, but that is what it is. Opportunity. Equity is equal outcome. And equal outcome is mostly death. You just have to look at how communism worked out in other areas of history, and you'll see that basically communism equals death for a ton of people. Heck, I would have died under communism, which is why I'm no longer communist. I was at all. Of course, if I was at all. I never really was a communist nor Marxist or whatever. I didn't believe in all that junk. I thought I didn't think that a lot of the DEI stuff was good at some points, but now I'm going they're not good. They're just holding us back from advancing as a society. And yeah, I was never a communist, really.
Choose to sit huddled in the frigid streets where the death toll has risen to 16.
This is sad.
In 13 of these cases, preliminary findings indicate that hypothermia played a role.
The mayor says outreach to the homeless has been stepped up steadily since sub-freezing temperatures first triggered the city's Code Blue activation.
Seriously, Eric Adams was busing him into shelter. Okay, forcing him off of the streets because they were not able to take care of themselves. They did not have a home. Seriously, this is cruelty, Zoran. You're being cruel to these homeless people.
As of this morning, we have made more than 930 placements to shelters and safe havens. We have also involuntarily transported 18 New Yorkers who were determined to be a danger to themselves or to others.
If you think that you can live on the streets in below zero temperatures without a roof over your head, if we've got people saying that, there probably need to be more folks who are helped off the streets. If you or I had a friend or relative who was trying to live on the streets when they're frozen, we would be out there pleading with that person, dragging them away from that environment because that's the compassionate thing to do. Yet New York's not doing that for its own New Yorkers.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. Zoran is being cruel to the homeless population. He may think he's being kind, but he's actually being very, very cruel. Because here's the thing. If I was in New York and I was homeless, I would have been among those that died. And I don't want that. I don't want to be out in very cold temperatures. By the way, it's around, it's below 30 in my area right now. But it's a little warmer than it was earlier when it was around 19 degrees, but still, it's...
Who were determined to be a danger to themselves or to others.
The mayor has resisted calls to dismantle homeless encampments like this one on 2nd Avenue.
That's bad news.
And he claimed today that none of those who in recent days had been living in an encampment.
Instead of looking to just push New Yorkers from one encampment to another part of this city, we're going to look to emphasize the services that we can connect those New Yorkers with.
Queensboro President Donovan Richards says the mayor needs to take a harder line.
Everybody should have their rights, but at the bottom line, if it's a code blue, we need to make sure people are being protected and that individuals are being taken into safe spaces.
Homeless advocate and civil liberties expert Norman Siegel says persuasion works best.
We've argued that you should approach people on a voluntary basis. If someone's not dressed the way you are, NJ, or I am, and they're in a t-shirt and jeans and no shoes, that's someone who's a danger to themselves.
Right. The signs are obvious. The signs are obvious when someone is in trouble. But...
Yep. Like, I haven't really been to New York City. I probably don't want to, if I'm honest, because I know that there is a lot of random acts of violence in there. I mean, a man actually set a woman on fire just because the woman was there. And that was pretty disgusting. And I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to live in a big city, man. The big city seems to have all these issues with violence and everything. I'm alright with living in a small town. I'm alright with living in a rural area. Heck, I would prefer a rural area just to doing my best with it, everything. Probably making my own garden. I would be alright with that sort of outcome for myself. Once I have a wife of my own, we'll probably move out onto. We'll probably get ourselves a little farm. I'll set some things up so that we grow our own food, or at least some of our own food. At least produce-wise, we'll grow our own stuff. But overall, I just think that the big city just has these exasperated problems, and I don't want to be involved in it.
One of the things that the mayor said he wanted to do was to do less in the way of homeless sweeps. And homeless advocates say that the longer someone remains on the streets, the higher the chances of something going wrong. But before we continue, do you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns? Or have you filed every year but just keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is not going down, penalties grow, interest compound. Follow the link below, which will also be in the description of this video.
Does Mayor Mamdani deserve a break or a Bronx cheer? Our landscape has been rendered almost unrecognizable. Instead of curbs, we have hulking mounds of unmelted snow dotted with dog droppings. Snow hills must be scaled just to enter the subway. Batya, there are mountains of garbage, some of them 8 feet high, and this is all more than a week after the snow fell.
Yep.
I don't care about any of that, Liz. I care about the fact that 16 people are because this nincompoop decided to allow them to keep living on the streets when the temperatures dropped to sub-zero. So much of what passes for progressive compassion, the stuff that makes them feel morally superior to the rest of us, actually incentivizes and creates unbelievable amounts of cruelty and suffering.
Yes, she's 100% right. We see it with the way that the homeless are treated.
Yeah, like I said, this is cruelty to the innocent. Zoran Mamdani thinks he's being merciful, but he's actually being cruel. And yeah, that's why I don't have sympathy to a lot of criminals. I don't have sympathy for Alex Preddy or Renee Good. I think they were being cruel, or you know, they won Darwin Awards, to be honest. I did have no sympathy for either of them. Some people will say, oh, that's racist. They had a choice. They made their choice. They have the consequences. They were adults. Okay? Charlie Kirk, he had no choice but to die. He had no choice because somebody took his life. Be glad that I'm Christian and not Jewish, otherwise I'd be calling for the murderer to die. Instead, I want that murderer to be incarcerated and repent. Just be glad I'm not calling for his death.
Treated in New York, and we're going to see it even more once the police are replaced. Do you think replacing the police force in a lawless sanctuary city is going to do good things for the law-abiding residents who still live there? Of course it's not going to. All progressivism, it is essentially an exercise in futility. It just goes further down the path of destruction. It progresses down that path rapidly in the name of compassion, which it brings to absolutely no one.
Whether it's a...
Yeah, it doesn't bring compassion to anyone. And progressives, we saw that clip. We saw that clip of the woman that said, I don't care if you're... That basically said, I don't care what the ICE agents were telling her. They were looking for a serial murderer pedophile. And that he was here in the country illegally. The woman said, I don't care. And then asked, what are you looking for? She didn't care about a child. She didn't care about multiple children. She only cared that the ICE agents were trying to deport an illegal immigrant. And the State of the Union address pretty much showed exactly who the Democrat Party actually supports. And the Democrats, they don't support us. They don't support the legal citizens here that are still suffering, that are living paycheck to paycheck. No, they only care about the illegal immigrants. Because they get more seats in Congress and in politics. They only care about power. That's it. They only care about being career politicians. That's it. There are some Republicans too. Don't get me wrong. There's some Republicans. But it's majority Democrats.
abolish ICE, the open border, whether it's defund the police, siding with criminals,
It's all the same
all of
message.
this stuff that makes them feel holier than thou. It creates unbelievable amounts of cruelty.
Yep.
And I'm just so glad that he did a 180, that he recognized how wrong this is. And I hope that that means that they will actually start sweeping the homeless encampments, not just when it's freezing, but in general.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, well, Dan, what do you make of that? I think that...
I honestly don't believe that Zoran Mamdani is actually going to do it. I honestly don't. I think he's going to let the homeless keep on dying. He's going to play politician and keep on trying to smooth it over, saying it's an unfortunate situation, but we are going to keep checking forward with the warmth of collectivism. He's going to keep on going about this whole communist and socialist utopia that he has in his head, even though it requires capitalists to actually prop it up. And the capitalists are getting fed up with this. By the way, this smile's creepy. I mean, what is that smile, dude? Dude looks like the Joker here, elderly Joker here. Man, dude, why are you smiling like that?
Listen, he got into office and immediately stopped what Mayor Eric Adams had begun, and most mayors preceding Eric Adams. And this has been a huge issue.
And this is the one thing that for years has made New York City different than places like Los Angeles, because in New York City, there are people who are homeless, but the idea that someone can be a full-time resident on the streets and have a year-round encampment does not exist here. And that is why the sidewalks here do not look like the sidewalks in most of Los Angeles.
We have to start
Oh yeah, because the sidewalks of Los Angeles are covered in poop. Look it up. The sidewalks in Los Angeles are covered in poop.
Hospitalizing these people against their will. Zoran Mamdani said, no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're just going to suggest maybe they should go to a shelter, but we're not going to force them to go to a shelter. Is him now backing off, is that just a momentary thing, or are we going to see a real change here?
I think that's the million-dollar question. I mean, look, I think on the snow, I too am a New Yorker. We have 4 children here in this city. I think he passed the first test, which was getting the streets plowed and salted.
Yes.
But he has failed the second test. This is a real issue for Mamdani about the homeless, because it goes to the issue of crime. It goes to the subways and other areas. Look, I give him credit that he did. When you have a losing hand, stop playing it and pivot. He did. We'll see kind of if he adopts across the board here on some of these other more controversial issues.
Yeah, and in the meantime, what's happening?
I wonder what's going to happen when the weather warms back up. Because you know what? These policy proposals of no more encampment sweeps, as they're called, as if getting people off the street who are unable to help themselves off the street is some cruel
Yeah, what's probably gonna happen is Zoran Mamdani is probably going to double down. When it starts warming up, he's going to double down on no more sweeps. So it's going to be a seasonal thing. But guess what? The homeless population's probably still going to die off because they are refusing to go out and basically... well, it's going to get worse, definitely. I wouldn't be too surprised if Central Park becomes full of homeless people using the lakes as a bath. I sincerely would not be too surprised by that situation.
exercise in inhumanity. That's how we're supposed to look at this. When it warms up in New York City and temperatures are great, are we going to go back to that policy? Or will people recognize the danger an individual puts themselves in the longer they remain living in an unhoused situation?
Yeah, scenes like this, Sade and Mike, are not on every street, just to be clear. But when you do see this much trash, you got to wonder what is going on. The sanitation department says that trash collection is delayed by about 24 hours, as are recyclables.
It's
but
a lot
New Yorkers
longer than
should
that.
expect to see some relief soon.
I think it's pretty gross to walk past it, to be honest. It's
Look at
a pretty
this.
big eyesore.
Dirty snow coupled with piles of...
Okay, look, that woman I'm gonna give an estimate of how tall she is. She's probably around 5 feet, probably a little more, probably 5 feet, 5'5". If she's 5'5", then I am around 5'6". IRL. So that means that trash, that trash pile is taller than I am. Okay? Seriously, taller than I am.
Of trash like a post-snowstorm hangover that's lingering face to the unending
Look at
cold.
that. Okay, so you have recyclables, which you see here. You got the cardboard, then you got the stuff in the plastic bags, and then you got the black bags over here in the corner. So you've got all the trash that was supposed to get picked up just getting dumped on top of itself. This is not a well-run city. This is the warmth of collectivism, I guess.
Snow melters
Yeah,
are
it isn't
helping,
a
but those frozen
well-run city
mounds
at all.
are challenging.
It was like dealing with rock boulders that
Yeah.
the workers were out there trying to chop up to try to open up the walkway. So that definitely slowed down some of the progress, and obviously
Welcome to New Yorkistan, where we have so much trash we don't know what to do with it. Well, there we go. I am now going to be called anti-Semitic and Islamophobic. Okay, so I get to cross off that I'm pro-Palestinian and pro-Israel off the list. Oh, I'm horrible. Oh,
that was a big priority for us.
It will have a domino effect of delaying some of the trash collection, according to the acting commissioner of the sanitation department.
They can't work quickly.
Javier Lohan.
Even though we are on track on the Monday service areas, a lot of the people won't start receiving service until tonight at 6 p.m. and that'll go into the overnight and then tomorrow morning.
But the heaps of trash have prompted some outrage.
Garbage everywhere.
Actor Michael Rappaport, who's no friend of Mayor Mamdani, complained about the trash on the Upper East Side, and council member Ina Vernikov also took aim at the mayor.
I took a walk on several streets.
The mayor says
this is crazy.
They're working on it.
Sanitation is currently running.
Yeah, Zohar Mamdani is days I think are numbered. Whether or not he course corrects is yet to be seen, but I don't think he is going to course correct. I think he has been so far into his Nepo baby lifestyle that he is not exactly sure how to run things outside of his own bank account. So he is not willing to. So I think he is a failure as a politician. I don't think he's going to be a front runner for any sort of office after this. I think he's going to be one term at best. At worst, he's going to be kicked out pretty soon. That's it. That's my estimate. And if he gets kicked out, we get an emergency election.
About 24 hours behind on trash collection. I know that they are working with everything that they have.
So here's the other problem. When you delay trash pickup, for as long as it's been delayed in the city, what happens is you get more garbage than the trucks are able to collect all at once, so they can't finish their routes. And then the trash keeps piling up. And when you add to that all of the traffic congestion because of all of the snow, now you've got yourself a real disaster. But look at this.
Can do their thing and get power and heat back up and running.
Yeah, I know there's a ton of traffic in New York. Okay, there is a ton of traffic. There's a ton of vehicles on the roads. So it is. So this is a disaster. And I think this is God basically telling us that Zohar Mamdani doesn't know what the heck he's doing, or at best, and at worst, he is actually being a very, very intentional with trying to get more Muslims in. It's one or the other. I'm convinced it's one or the other for Zoran.
For thousands of people in the Borum Hill area. If you look up and down the street, you basically see Con Ed crews as far as the eye can stretch, with cables there over here.
Look at this.
And you can see that this is basically what 4th Avenue looks like.
snow
Yes, it's open to traffic,
knocked out the
but
power.
very few cars getting through at a time as crews continue to fix up each corner. And here's what we're working with. As you look into one of these manholes, they're trying to get into these fibers.
Look at
the
this.
elements have been making this job very hard, but this morning we've seen them close up one corner at a time.
So what happened here is we had so much snow and so much salt on the roads that this all leaked into the underground parts of the city and destroyed the wiring for people's apartments in Borum Hill, which is one of the most expensive zip codes in the city. Why? Because it wasn't adequately cleared to begin with.
Edison says road salt is mixing with water as snow melts.
Seriously, Zoran, you are a failure. You are a failure. Okay? There's no way sugarcoating it. You are a failure. You're 1 month into your mayorship, and you're a failure. Okay? That is... You are speedrunning. Okay? You are speedrunning being a failure at a politician. You need to get out of politics. Straight up, you need to get out. You need to get out. Okay? There's nothing in entertainment. So, but if you want to be a entertainment, I'm sure there's some hipster LA Pakistani group that would love to hear your raps. And no, I'm not going to subject you guys to the raps. I had to subject myself to the raps plenty of times. I am not going to subject you guys to that rap, to those raps. Needless to say, they were horrible. I would suggest Zoran Mamdani just goes back to being a failed rapper and tries to find his hipster Pakistani crowd that will listen to his stuff.
Seeping into the underground system,
That's corrosive.
corroding wires and causing localized failures. Con Ed chalking up longer than anticipated restoration times to challenging conditions, having to dig out layers of snow and ice to access the system.
They can't even work.
Cars from snow mounds. A warming center has been set up at the Wyckoff Gardens Community Center, but these residents say it's just not enough and people are suffering.
Since Friday, we didn't have no light, no water, no hot water, no steam, no
nothing. Hot water.
We have handicapped people that needs oxygen and everything. Come on.
No hot water, not enough food. There is just a lot going on here. Like, dude, these people do have homes and they need to be, and they have to go to warming centers in order to actually survive, dude. This is just sad. This is just sad. This is not. This is the warmth of collectivism, Zoran. Really, this looks horrible. If anything, at least this will prove that communism and socialism don't work. That's the plus side. This shows in real time that the socialism and socialist and communist experiment is a failure. And it's at a much bigger scale than it is in Chicago.
There's a 100 and something old lady over there.
I felt like I was one of the homeless people sleeping on the streets last night, honestly. I had blankets, I had robes, I had everything on me, and I was so cold.
What do people pay for in this city?
And it's been very difficult.
Dude, even the warming centers aren't that warm. Zoran, you are definitely a failure. Okay? There's no sugarcoating it. You are a failure at a politician. Resign and fight, and someone else step up, please. Okay? I'm tired of seeing this suffering.
For them because she's 83. How are we getting reimbursed?
City Council member Shahana Hanif said she sent a letter to Con Edison demanding that her constituents receive credits, making matters.
Of course, it's the power company's fault. Now, I dislike Con Edison. I think they're pretty bad. They got a monopoly.
I don't know anything about Con Edison. I don't know anything about power companies. All I know is that you need electricity to survive in this day and age. Because you need some lights on. So there's central heating and air that also goes into it. Plus, it's just not advantageous to make your own house anymore, and a lot of the cities and a lot of areas will actually try to sue you for going off grid. Yeah, I've actually seen sorts of that. And a lot of the time, the people that go off grid actually managed to make things pretty, well, a lot more efficiently than the being on grid. Let's be honest here. And it's pretty insane, dude. It's pretty insane.
They're tough to deal with. If you ever call them, you never get through. But Con Edison doesn't plow the streets. It's not Con Edison's fault. Tons and tons of salt leaked onto their wiring because of a mixture of snow and ice. And when people...
Yeah, it's not Con Edison's fault. Nope. For Zohran Mamdani, he'll probably say it's... he'll probably just say, oh, it's because... we have lazy people. It's going to be a deflection. It's going to be a deflection. Just watch. And watch, a lot of the Democrats are going to say, he's a success. No, he's not. He's not a success, subjectively speaking. How many deaths with ICE have there been in regards to protesters? Oh, 2. There have been 2. How many for illegal immigrants? Tons. Seriously, tons with illegal immigrants. That's why we are deporting them. And people want to say ICE are the bad guys that always escalate. Yeah, okay, how many people outside of Alex Pretty and Renee Good have actually been killed? Not very many, if any. Certainly not enough to warrant nationwide coverage. So, I am still on the opinion of Renee Good and Alex Petty won Darwin Awards because they were so deranged against ICE.
People talk about how the skids have basically been greased for the new mayor to come into office and pass whatever he wants. It's because you already have a city council that is totally aligned with him as far as socialism and the future of America goes. But what do you think that future looks like? What do you think about the things happening in New York City? Should the mayor do more to stick up for the police? Should he replace the police?
The future, I think this would look like, is basically similar to God's Wrath. Basically, yeah, we get the communism and socialism, but we don't get the same, we would not be in a comfortable position. We would be in a insanely, uncomfortable position where we would be hearing about deaths every day under communism and socialism. And the propaganda would be wild. And no, I'm not talking about Trump being a dictator or anything. Because Trump, he's not a dictator. He's not a fascist. He fits one definition of fascism, and that's being a nationalist, but that's it. But overall, he's not a fascist. And I have to say he's partly fascist because of that. Because that is the definition. But most definitions do not apply to Trump, and definitely not the normal meaning of the word fascist fits him either, which is a political authority figure that wants to enforce his values through force and punish anyone who disagrees with him. He is not a fascist in that regard. Again, we've seen plenty of times where he's disagreed with people. And he has never called for their heads. He hasn't called for Kamala Harris to be arrested. What was the most fascist thing he did? I think the closest thing is Jimmy Kimmel being taken off air, but that was because of the FCC, not him. There's also Stephen Colbert about to be taken off air, but that's because of a contract of being run out. There's also people that got fired because they cheered on Charlie Kirk's death. Again, that isn't Trump's idea. That was the companies they worked for, and they're companies that don't want to be involved in that situation. And you cheering on the death of somebody that was murdered. And yeah, I'm using murder for that. Right, because I don't consider Renee Good or Alex Petty murders. But anyways, I think that's all I've got today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know. There's a chance I may be streaming later. I'll see. Talk to you later, guys. Peace.